Good evening, everyone. My name is Adiah Cox. I am the head of sustainability and co-founder of the Ella Baker Institute.
I think if everyone has introduced themselves, we can begin. Is there anybody who did not have the opportunity to introduce themselves?
Hello, Reverend Robert Jackson,
Hello.
Executive Director of Brooklyn Rescue Mission Urban Harvest Center.
Hi, Devaney Jackson, Program Director, Brooklyn Rescue Mission.
Okay.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening.
Dr. Shagun Shabaka. I'm with the International African Arts Festival.
A pleasant good evening, everyone. I'm Tafari Thomas. I'm the founder of The Voice of Beauty, an individual business, but I am part of a nonprofit, right? And I just had some questions. That's why I'm here today.
Good evening. My name is David Jones. I'm the founder and executive director of the New York City Computer Lab Initiative, where we're in the process of opening a computer lab in every underprivileged and underserved community in New York City. What's up, Dr. Muhammad? I see you over there. I see you.
Thank you. Apologize. Anyone else?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Deborah Young, and I am the co-founder and president of the Crown Heights North Association. Thank you.
Okay. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Well, good evening, everyone. I am New York State Assembly Member Stephanie Zinnerman, and I am just ecstatic that you all made it here today safely. I am excited to host today's event with our nonprofit partners, where we're all nonprofit partners in this room. But I want to just give a big shout out to our chair who could not make it down from the Bronx, but Chantel Jackson and the rest of our executive board for really working together on a vision that we had to support nonprofits from what we say from Brooklyn to Buffalo. Now it's Brookhaven to Buffalo because we have Strong Island. We have 3 new members from Long Island, and we're really excited to have them on board. They were the ones who actually kicked off this listening tour that was envisioned for the first time post-budget, but pre actually receiving grants, the opportunity for members to go into communities and talk face-to-face with nonprofits about what they would like to see us use this money for. Now, everybody has a particular mission for their organization, but we're also in very different times right now. And so we wanted to make sure that we were in agreement about how this money should be used, but also for you to hear from the not-for-profits who have signed up to be the fiscal conduits for this. Very brave women, I must say, because it's not always easy dealing with the state and getting and securing funding. And so we're just happy that they have signed on to do this work. And we've named this a listening tour because that's exactly what it is. We're not going to do a whole lot of talking on the stage today. We are really going to be listening to you. And so this, and I know most of you who have been in this business for a long time know that this is pretty historic. That our task force is only 3 years old. And in that time, we've been lobbying specifically for smaller nonprofits, making sure that we can build capacity in those organizations. And this is our opportunity to do that. And as you could all hear today, we have a full range of not-for-profits in this room. There were lots of different ones in Long Island as well. But you are the heartbeat of this state. Government cannot do what you do. Our job is to make sure that we are providing you with the resources, again, to do the work that is necessary in community. So again, give yourselves a round of applause for the work that you do, and we thank you for being here. And so I see that my chaplain, our chaplain from the executive board, Assemblymember Monique Chandler Waterman is here. So we want to be in decency and order and ask her to just bring greetings and pray us into the space so that we can begin. And before she does that, I'm just gonna let you know, we were a little delayed with our technology, but we hope that everyone is on and can hear us. I also would like each and every one of you, when you ask your questions, when you come down to speak into the mic, that you can hear yourself in the room, because we want to make sure that we're projecting so that they can hear you as well. And hopefully our executive director, Dorcia Williams, who I also want you all to give a big round of applause, because she's done a yeoman's job working with all of us to bring us here today. So we want to just make sure. So has everybody got the instructions to just like be full-throated and start to think about the questions that you want to ask our folks. So as soon as Monique finishes, we're going to introduce our fiscal conduits, and then we're going to get right into it.
Thank you so much to my sister colleague, Assemblymember Stephanie Zimmerman, the Vice President of the Black Task Force, and on behalf of the Chair, Assemblywoman Chantel Jackson. I see Farrah Safran in the room. Thank you to my sister and all of my Brooklyn colleagues and Assembly members and senators that's in this space as well. And give a big shout out, of course, to the nonprofits here doing this very important work. And I just continue to ask for guidance for us. God is good all the time. And as we in this space, we keep on praying over our leaders, pray over our speakers, pray over the governor, pray over this task force of amazing, dynamic electeds that came together, that saw fit to make sure that a vision and things that we were just thinking about and praying about actually came through for the first time ever by having a Black task force. Then to go back and for God to grace us and bless us in this space to make sure that we were able to secure $30 million out of the budget to make sure that our disadvantaged communities are taken care of. God saw fit to have these leaders in place at this time to make sure that we are a force to be reckoned as we stand on business, right? Our assembly member would say that stand on business to make sure that God's works is done through our people without the barriers of the financial strain of procuring contracts, without the barriers and the stress. We want to remove all barriers to make sure that our community members, our community leaders are able to do the work that as legislators we are not doing, we cannot do directly. We depend on you. You are the backbone of our community. We need you to be breathing life into you through funding, through support, and through resources so you can help our community members that are struggling, especially on a certain time like this on the federal level. The state has stepped up and showed out, but we can't do this work alone. So as we pray over everyone in this space in our hands and just making sure that we work together, this is not an I team, this is a we team, and let no one come before us that's going to block anything, no entity. What God has for us, no one could take from us. Point blank, period. We are working in the grace of God. So continue doing this important work. Thank you so much. I'm New York State Assembly Member Monique Chandler Waterman. Amen, amen, amen. I love you.
Amen, and then I see that we have been joined, so I'm going to ask her to come up to the mic by the fearless leader, executive director here of Bedford-Stuyvesant Restoration Corporation, Ms. Blondell Pinnock. And as I said before, you are all standing on sovereign land.
Thank you, Assembly Member. I want to say welcome on behalf of Restoration, our Board of Directors. I want to extend our deepest gratitude to each of you for your continued advocacy over the years, and especially for your most recent support. It is an honor to host tonight's New York State Black Legislative Task Force Nonprofit Listening Tour. I want to first acknowledge this esteemed New York State delegation of leaders who represent the state and Senate and Assembly. When we received the news from Assemblymember Zinnemann that Restoration was being awarded $3.1 million in fiscal year 26, I can tell you there was not a dry eye in the House, and lots of amens. As you know, we have significant capital needs, and our funds recently allocated will go a long way towards increasing our occupancy, keeping vital services running for this community, helping to stabilize our operations. Most importantly, the support allows us the time we need to build capacity to strengthen our fundraising infrastructure, an area of critical need for many Black-led nonprofits that can often operate at a deficit. Assemblymember Zinnemann, whose district office is upstairs, has been a great partner and has understood the challenges we have experienced firsthand. She has led the charge to convene everyone here, and thank you for rallying around our community. For that, we are eternally grateful. We look forward to engaging you throughout this process and keeping you apprised of our future redevelopment plans when we update the community in the near future. Thank you for standing with us, for standing ahead of us, and standing next to us. Thank you for investing in our future. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Blondell. Absolutely. All righty. So we are going to officially begin, and I'm going to turn to my left and ask my colleague here to introduce herself and tell us all about your organization and give us one thing that you hope that this funding is going to do, the one impact that you really hope to see with this work.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. I'm a little worried about the mic, so hold on. We can hear me good? Okay, just call and bark if you can't hear me. So hi, I am so happy to see all of you and to meet all of you. Thank you so much for having me. I love Brooklyn, so it was very exciting. And I drove down all the way from Albany, and I want to say I was very proud of myself. I followed all the rules. No one honked at me, or at least I don't think they did. But my name is Therese. I am the president and CEO of the United Ways of New York State. So you might have one in here, which is called United Way of New York City, who is one of my members, but I have 32 United Ways across New York State. So you can imagine, starting at 7 a.m. till about midnight, my phone never stops ringing. But I was inspired to work for United Way because I care about every single New Yorker, and I care about every single New Yorker's quality of life. So I work really hard every day to make sure that everyone, no matter who you are, where you're from, what you look like, has access to housing, food, utilities, anything that you can imagine. You know, food and nutrition is a big focus of mine, but yes, I want everybody to be good in New York State, and I want to help them get everything that they need, including each of you and including each of your organizations. So I am just honored to be a fiscal conduit, and I want you to know that if we don't get to talk tonight, we are going, know that you can reach out to me. I am always available, and I would love to learn about your organization and how we can work together. And one thing that I would hope that this funding does is that I know that there are a lot of people out there, and maybe some in this room, that feel hopeless and just feel that each day it's gotten harder and harder to wake up every day. And I hope that we're actually able to make it so that people look forward to waking up who might not have had that hope or that comfort. And I hope that this money can help with that.
Oh, thank you so much. And now to my right.
Yes, indeed. Good evening, my brothers and sisters. I'm Arva Rice, and I'm the president and CEO of the New York Urban League. And I am incredibly privileged to be able to be part of this landmark initiative. And Assemblywoman Zimmerman, I think, really played down the incredible role and leadership that the Black Task Force has put together. We think a lot about how important it is to be represented in whether it's City Hall or whether it's at the state level or at the federal level. But it's important for us to be able to see ourselves, but we also want that to make a difference. And so the fact that this group of African Americans came together and said, we're going to do something historic and be able to bring millions of dollars to our community is something that we have not seen. And so I want to thank her, and I want to thank particularly the chair for her leadership in making sure that these monies are being brought to our communities. And I also want to thank them for their leadership. We are the two of us, or two of the five fiscal conduits who will be responsible for dispersing the funds that will be available, probably not for a few months, but I wanted to thank them for their leadership in being able to have this listening tour. The New York Urban League is a nonprofit organization that's been around for over 100 years. We're one of over 100 urban leagues around the country. So there's urban leagues in major cities. And our work is in education, employment, housing, and healthcare. And one of the things we do here in New York City is we operate a a fund that comes through city council. We're able to give capacity building grants to small nonprofits. And so some of the organizations that I'm hearing from today are organizations we've given grants to in the past, and some are new to us. And so I want to thank the leadership for creating this space for us to hear from different and new nonprofit organizations, and for you to hear a little bit more about what your priorities are as we go forward. So thank you so much. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for this opportunity. And as we go forward, I look forward to us being able to come together, not only in the disbursement of these funds, but in also creating a platform and be able to create an agenda that we can push forward as a community.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
And so I will introduce the empty chairs, although they are not here, but they are here in spirit. And they were at the first listening tour that we had in Long Island. We have Elmcore from Queens, and Saida, I'm hoping she can still make it here. Was one of the first people who kind of raised her hand and said that she really wanted to be a part of this work. And last year, my colleagues will remember, we had a wonderful nonprofit day, the first one that we ever hosted, and people got on buses from all across the state and came to Albany and advocated for what they wanted. And I really believe that it was their presence, your presence, that helped seal the deal for this $30 million funds. $1 sounds like a lot of money, especially when you're talking to two people. But as you can see, we have a room full of people, and we will be taking this on the road from Strong Island all the way to Buffalo. But the idea is for us to identify those of you who need to build capacity, those of you who are at mid-range that could help our fiscal conduits, kind of help lift other not-for-profits up, but for us to really get to know one another and work together, because we know when there's more hands in the work, the work gets lighter. So we want to put that out there as well. It is time, people. The time is yours. The stage is yours. We hope that you have written down your questions or that they are on the top of your mind, because we're going to ask people to come down to the mic and start this conversation. Talk to us about, and some of you already said your name and what you do, but we want you to be very clear in your question to both our fiscal conduits today about this funding and the impact. Again, how do you want to see this money used in your part of the world? So, Milano, Italy, since you're close to the mic, do you want to be the first one to ask a question? And then I'm going to just start asking folks, because we are at 5:37, so we're not doing bad in our time at all. But we are going to ask you to start, lining up in mics and asking questions. Yes?
Yes, how you doing? My name is...
Yes. Jason, you might have to put some mood music on for folks. We might have to listen to a little jazz in the background and get folks in the mood for talking to one another. Yes, sir.
How's everyone doing? My name is Adiambo Mitchell. I wanted to know, is there any help for me to start a community center for people that are disabled?
So the short answer to that is yes. Do you already have a not-for-profit, or is this community center going to be the not-for-profit that you want to start?
I already have a nonprofit.
So you already have a not-for-profit?
Yes.
But you're looking for physical space in order to flourish in the space working with disabled individuals?
Yes, I'm looking for a hub, yes.
Okay, so this grant money is for program, it's not for capital, but my office can actually have a conversation with you if you're looking for capital dollars or space, but that's not this particular pot. And if you're just looking for ways in which that you can connect to the disability community and provide services for them. I sit on Peoples with Disabilities and would love to have that conversation with you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. I want to start calling people. Come on down here. You already? You ready? Yes, absolutely. Don't be shy. Do not be shy.
Hi, Arva.
Hi, hello.
I'm going to advocate for early childhood, especially for two generation working with the caregivers and children. But I also want to lift up timing. So the clock started ticking April 1. That's when the budget started. And for us, all of us who are nonprofit leaders here, like we have to spend it by a certain time. So our big concern as leaders is that it gets rolled out in a timely fashion, and that we're really hurting, like in terms of private philanthropy and raising funds in addition to government funds. So the sooner we can get the funding or even a commitment letter, that's helpful, because then you don't have to pause work, do furloughs, or lay people off. Like, so the need is urgent, and that is what I want to communicate to all of you. So thank you very much. I was up there in Albany shouting, yelling, visiting all of the assembly persons and senators. And so thank you for all of your hard work, because this would not be possible, and we're really grateful for what we've gotten. And then now let's move really fast with all deliberate speed to get it out to nonprofits. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I wanted to say, first of all, thank you for all you do. And secondly, thanks for coming to Albany, because it truly helped, and we're seeing the power of our work. But I want to manage expectations on the funding, so I want to be upfront with you. So we are in the process. So we were allocated the funding, but then it has to go through the Department of State, New York State Department of State. And then the fiscal conduits have to go through kind of a background where we have to get all of the information and have to go through each element of the contract. But so I want to manage your expectations, and we're very much all eager to get started as a fiscal conduit, but we are at the mercy of getting those contracts all done and settled and done and dusted. But I do want to let you know, as the fiscal conduits, we are wanting to get started just as much as you are, because again, we want to start advocating for more funding, and we can't do it if we don't have anything to show for it. And then I did want to also say that for some portion of the funding, once the contracts are through the Department of State, for smaller amounts of money, we're actually going to be given that funding. So we'll be able to help with small donation amounts too. And I want to say, just to clarify, small could be still multiple thousands. It's just considered small.
So just to make sure I'm also clear, even if just you're a nonprofit too. So I know I'm speaking your language, right?
Totally.
But commitment letters mean, like, if you have a commitment letter, then you can go to the bank and you can borrow so that you can keep your program running.
That's great.
Then if you have a commitment letter, you can work with your board. Hey, we have some reserves. We can tap into the reserve. So there's always a process on our end as well. And having any kind of commitment letter helps you be able to access your funds. So that's what I want to put out there, that I get it that there's a process and it may take time, but to factor in that whatever we can commit to in writing helps us to be able to access other resources to do the work.
Great idea. Thank you.
So let me just underscore that, just so everybody heard it, right? And so the money has been allocated to the 5 fiscal conduits. Once their contract is secured and open, then they will then begin to reach out to you all that have been selected. We want to make sure, and what we're advocating for is if we could get at least $250,000 into their hands right away, so they could just start doing the work that's necessary to getting at least some of the smaller grants out of the door. So again, we never stop advocating for you, and we're going to need your voices as well to make sure that this happens. Yes, sir. How are you?
How you doing?
We should be going. I'm going to go to you next. Yes.
Hello, everyone. Shout out to the 56. How you doing?
Good, darling. How are you?
I'm Will Franklin, and I would really like to see some of the money go to commissioning Medgar Evers College School of Business to do a feasibility study statewide, to where you could actually identify, centralize, and scale some successful programs. for the sole purpose of making sure that everybody gets included. Not only that, it could also expand the pot that was already given, because you could identify what the programs look like throughout the state, and you can catch every idea, every nonprofit, every underserved community. And with that feasibility study, then all of the legislators from the task force would actually have a directory where they could actually see where the programs are used and how you could actually tie them together. And it's the only PBI in the state, like not in the city, in the state. So we might as well utilize those resources and put them PhDs to use. And I can tell you that the School of Business is willing and ready to do that, you know, from the department chair to the dean. So that's how I would like to see some of the money used so that we could maximize its effect and possibly add to it.
Can I ask you just a clarifying question? You said
Yes.
a feasibility study to do.
To scale, to identify, scale, and centralize all of the successful programs, because there's a lot of nonprofits out there doing a lot of good work, but they're doing it by themselves. And then when they try to look for funding, they're also looking for funding by themselves. And we can't ask our state legislators to pay for everything because there's not enough money. We can't ask, you know, our banks to do certain things because they may only want to do certain, you know, ideas, and they might want to break apart the mission to actually fund those things. But if you had a complete directory where you know what's going on in Rochester might be the same thing that's going on in Brownsville, and you put those two things together, you could actually pipeline it. Like CUNY and SUNY are huge universities, and they could actually pipeline some of the work. Like all of our legislators, particularly, you know, the Honorable Zimmerman, like has things going on in middle school and high school that could actually be attached to college, but these things are independent of one another, and they shouldn't be, especially if we want to impact all underserved communities at the same time. We shouldn't be working in silos. We should actually be working together.
Thank you so
A
much. for the
clearinghouse.
suggestion.
Thank
Yeah.
you. That was clear. Yes, sir.
Hey, happy Thursday.
Hello.
My question is around the application process.
Only around Remix.
Oh, sorry. My question is around the application process. How is it being scored? And the second part to my question is, what are the administrative requirements going to be in terms of submitting our licensure information, our government's information? And then my third and final question is, what are the reporting requirements going to be?
3 questions. 3 questions.
Yes. To be determined. There definitely will be requirements because it's state money. But we haven't come to the conclusion because we're still in the contract process. We're hoping to do a common application so that if you're applying to any one of us, that you're doing the same process. We also want to make sure that if you're applying to United Way, that you know that you're applying to Federation of Protestant Welfare Agencies or Elm Corps. So those are some of the key things that we've decided on at this point, but we haven't gotten to the level of criterion or reporting yet.
We don't yet, but what I will tell you is we've actually talked about, because we've been listening, of having webinars to help people through the application process. And then we're also going to do the application in a number of languages. So we're going to have multiple different platforms of being able to learn about the application. We're just in such an early stage when it comes to the application that we can't answer you. But know that those questions are quite common and quite legitimate of concern.
And I'll just add this so that you don't go away disheartened by either one of those answers. We did not fight this hard for this money for it not to get to you. So on our word, right? This really is, we want to get it right. This is the reason why we're asking you. And this is the reason why I said, even the stuff that you're really worried about, we want to hear about it, because the more information that we get from you, the better we can put that and more impactful that common application will be and the process will be. We're trying to remove all of the pitfalls and barriers that we've had to deal with before. And I know, right, and it's summertime, so this is usually when we're trying to, in our district, or people kind of go away, but we are in every district trying to get this done so that by the time the state finishes their process, we'll have the information that we need to roll these contracts out. You're welcome, my dear. Somebody's on the right. Oh, here we go. All right.
Good evening. I appreciate today so much, specifically as Assemblywoman, just to make sure that young leaders like myself are present in the room. You emailed me and texted me so many times this week just to make sure I was in the room. And I know that if you did that for me, there are plenty of your constituents that you continue to show up for. So I just want to say, just big you up for a moment. And I feel very much in family. One of my organizations is a client of United Way. My partner's a part of your organization as well, the Urban League. And I used to work here at Restoration as the manager of the Center for Healthy Neighborhoods, because it does feel like just like a moment. So previously, as I stated, I am a farmer and I work in urban agriculture and local agriculture. So the question is really around what is the funding, or what does the state this task force look like in terms of ensuring that Black and brown food-led organizations are supported, right? So whether it's sourcing food for our pantries, sourcing food for different CSA programs, I think there are so many organizations and maybe some in the room that do source food, but they may be looking for locations all across the world or across the city and are very expensive, right? So one of the organizations that I work with is a CSA. We do whole food wholesale selling, but many people don't know about us, or there are contracts that limit them from buying from us. We source all from locally Black-owned farms in New York and New York State and locally. So we're really wanting to understand if there's any structures around supporting Black growers, where it's from a gardener to a farmer, and everyone in between. We know that there's a food access issue in the city. We know that we can't access our cultural foods for this cultural city and state. So what is kind of the guidelines around supporting food justice in our city?
Anybody want to?
Yeah, I can take a stab at it. Well, first of all, thank you for all you're doing. It's incredible work, and cool being a farmer. That's awesome. So I'll be honest, because I'm always going to be honest with you. We are not going to get it right every time. So there's going to be groups that we don't know about, but you coming here tonight and talking to us is the perfect example. Now we know. Now we can say, when drafting and going through the applications and working on these issues, knowing that that's a huge issue, and you coming here tonight is a huge part of that. So thank you. But also, just to kind of answer your question a little bit more, when we look at the applications, we're going to have kind of themed needs that we want to fill. So seeing in the application, for you being as clear as possible, is how we're going to know that that's a big need in that area. We're going to rely on the community-based organizations that we work with, but also the ones who are applying to learn about the needs of the area.
So I'm just going to say quickly, we did come up with a list of categories that we wanted to fund, right? So health being one of them. And so as far as the work that we do here in community, that is actually where we spend the most money in our budget. And certainly the state has invested. I sit on the agriculture committee. We have a Black Farmers Fund. We have the Timbuktu program at Medgar Evers. I support the community farm and gardens here. Thank you for the work of Brooklyn Queens Land Trust. And of course, the 15 out of 19 schools that are growing. So it is a priority, but it falls under the health. But, you know, if it needs to be its own category, you should probably say that to us as well. But we are looking to do health, education, housing, civic engagement, cultural preservation, workforce development, economic development, criminal justice reform, and then, of course, as we started and stated at the beginning, nonprofit capacity building. All righty. On the left.
Good evening. I am Aaron L. McKinney, Executive Director of High Arts, founded as the Hip Hop Theater Festival. Of course, I have to advocate for our artists, especially our Black and brown artists, but also our arts administrators, especially our Black and brown arts administrators, because there's no real training ground for arts administrators. But what I really wanted to say is, since this is talking about capacity building, making sure that the reporting requirements are not prohibitive to some of our smaller and middle-sized organizations. With some of these grants and monies that we get, you know, it takes 2, 3, 4 staff members to, you know, complete the reports, and it has become prohibitive for some of us that are already at capacity and, you know, need a little more help. So having the money is great, but then having to report on the money can sometimes become a barrier.
No, I was just going to say that's an excellent point. Thank you so much for taking it, for making it. And as I mentioned, we run a capacity building initiative at the city level. And so we're very cognizant of the fact that we want to make sure that it is not so onerous for the organization. Yes. So we definitely thank you for that comment. We'll definitely keep that in mind.
Which is why she's sitting at the table. But I also want you to take this moment to think about and share at another time. We have a feedback survey that we'll post up here, and then you could actually use the QR code to answer. But think about what you think is repetitive, what you think is a barrier to you to completely, like all of those things. Make a list and share those things with us. I'm sure they've experienced them, but if we're really going to make a difference and make changes through this process, we really, really want to hear directly from your lived experience. Okay?
Hello. Hi, Henrietta Hare, representing Kings County Tennis League, a nonprofit organization that goes into NYCHA housing to teach students how to play tennis. My question is, we're excited about this opportunity, particularly because 90% of our young students are of color and 72% of them are either Black or African American. We know that resources and opportunities are a root of good health, but inequitable access to wellness opportunities, especially sports programming, disproportionately affects Black children, especially through low-income housing. This reality is particularly concerning given the health benefits of youth sports. Youth sports promote physical health by encouraging young people to exercise and support their overall healthy growth and physical development of young people. With this backdrop, I'm wondering what's the task force vision for the health pot of funding?
Well, we're here to hear your visions, but I think that if you would look at the breadth of programs that we've supported this year, Kings County Tennis League being one of them, our community farms, swimming initiatives, blood pressure, diabetes, like sickle cell, which became a really pivotal issue for us this year. It always is, but the drug companies decided that there were too many opioids being ordered in our community and stopped the flow. So people lost their maintenance medicine and we had to intervene. And so we, again, count on you all. You are on the ground. You're experiencing these things. You know you're making impact. Make the case. That's why you're here today, to make the case that we should be focusing in on sports development. And as somebody who sits on tourism, arts, parks, and sports development, I hear you loud and clear. All righty. I think, I can't really see well, but I think that is my sister from the 55th, Assemblymember Latrice Walker has joined us today. Give her a clap. This is a Brooklyn thing today, but the secretary of the New York State Task Force from Queens, Assemblymember Khalil Anderson is here as well. Give it up for him. All righty. Thank you, colleagues, for joining us, and it's your turn.
Hi, thank you. I'm particularly happy that Latrice is here because we just saw her last week. And we do every year a festival at the Amboy Street Garden. But before I get started, I just want to say I represent World Rhythm Academy. My wife is there. We founded in 2013. We're dedicated to uniting communities by fostering an environment that celebrates music and a lot of jazz, as well as cross-generational programs, live music, food sustainability, and youth leadership. So we do a lot of things. We also have a flagship program called Moby, which is my brand, Music of the Black Experience. We did almost a year program at what was Soul BK on Nostrand Avenue. They changed ownership, so we lost our position there. But we had both national and international musicians come from around the world to talk about music of the Black experience because it's not talked about. There's a huge black hole with our youth and with our elders who appreciate and know the music but have nowhere to go see it. So we try to provide some spaces like Amboy Street Garden where people don't have to pay money to come and hear quality music. But in that, what the music does is tell us about our history, which is, as we know, is being taken from us. I'm the professor of jazz at Brooklyn at Brooklyn College. I'm the only one teaching a big band, a small jazz ensemble, history of jazz, and African American music, which is passion for me, and it's the amount of students that I get that have no idea of how our music spined our activism and fueled our communities and kept us together through a lot of things that, all of the things we're going through right now and have always gone through. So my question is, and I need to speak to the brother from Brick, because we saw you a few weeks ago in the Notes of the Poets, but it got a thunderstorm, so we had to leave. And the brother who does the African Festival, because I played there with people like Gary Bartz and John Hicks, and I like to get on the roster. Anyway, my question is, how can we, World Rhythm Academy, find funding to do our programs in the garden, which are only like twice a year because it's weather permitting, but our yearly program of Music of the Black Experience and some venues, some Black-owned venues? It's like we're having a hard time finding those that would welcome something like that. Is there funding for us to find the space? I know you said there's no capital. So is there funding for to use the spaces that we use, such as Brownsville Heritage House, Williamsburg Music Center, and I have access to places at Brooklyn College. And I'd like to, again, have a conversation with Brick. But that's my question.
Well, you've really answered your own question. I'm going to add some things to it, but I'm going to do either one of you want to jump in before I answer?
Well, I just was going to say, always apply. Yes, all of these questions are so amazing, but the opportunity is yours. So please apply. We're looking at everything. We're looking at things that intersect. We're looking at things on this theme and this theme. Please just apply, because we're not going to know that you're interested if you don't apply, and we're not going to know about it unless you apply.
Understood. Really quickly, though, the things that I have applied for, they're either this or that in terms of like a garden space.
Understood.
As opposed to, the Moby Initiative.
Okay. Well, one of our bucket areas is cultural preservation, and you just basically gave us a mini history lesson on that. I love the fact that you're already networking in this room. So not only should you be talking to Dr. Shabaka and the International African Arts Festival, but the Central Brooklyn Jazz Consortium. PS35 has the Crest Youth Ensemble and all jazz band, youth bands. Our schools are our real estate. When it's inclement weather, we should have room in every single school in our district. They are public institutions and they are made to be here for us. And so if you need help talking to principals or getting introduced to superintendents, we're more than happy to do that work and make those introductions. But please keep talking, because there's some other jazz lovers
Great,
in this
thank
place
you so much. And I have worked at the Central Brooklyn, and thank you.
Okay. Sisters Place, we could just kind of keep going and keep going. Absolutely. Let's make that happen. All right, who's on the right?
Yes, hello.
Okay.
Hi, thank you again for this opportunity. Shout out to everyone in the building just for showing up for yourselves and your brand. So my name is Javanya Smith. I am co-founder of Reform Consulting, which is a personal, professional, community development brand founded right here in Brooklyn. We are guided by the 8 dimensions of wellness, which is our framework. So I'm not sure if there are any other for-profit organizations in the room, but we are for-profit. But I have a question that's related to where we have seen value in our work for the past several years, and it has really been in capacity building, strategic planning, training, technical assistance for nonprofits. And I know that we all are very well intended, and there are most nonprofits are very well intended and want to do great work. But we know sometimes we show up and we like, what is going on in here? Like, what's happening? So we have seen value in really helping nonprofits frame their mission, frame their vision. So I'm just wondering, is there any plans to fund infrastructure for those type of services for nonprofits to support the work that nonprofits are going to be doing with this funding?
Well, we definitely plan on supporting capacity building. We won't be doing any of the state grants directly to it, but our 5 organizations will be committed to doing some level of capacity building. So I would love to speak to you more about the ways in which you support nonprofits. And also going back to the question that the brother had about reporting, the fact is that, sometimes reporting can be hard, and particularly when these are grants where you have to put out the money first and then you get the money back, those reimbursable ones, those will kill you if you don't manage them correctly, right? And exactly, right? It's very stressful. It's nonprofit organizations. And so one of the goals for all of us in this effort is to connect the way that the brother was just doing, connect us to each other, and also for us to learn some of the tricks that people that don't look like us learn because their daddies are on, golf courses and they have different resources oftentimes than we do. And so being able to learn some of those tricks and those techniques are part of capacity building, and we're absolutely committed to doing that.
Thank you. And I just wanted to add one more piece to that. So with this funding, this is going to be essentially a cohort of a bunch of nonprofits who are doing amazing work. So are there any vision to get the nonprofits in the room together continuously? Because I've also see value in helping the task force curate the space and bring the nonprofits together. Because when people were introducing themselves, I'm like, oh, I know they page from Instagram. Oh, that's what they look like. And that's really, y'all agree, but most of the time we just see people online and we love the work they're doing, but we never have an opportunity to like talk and vibe with them and share anything really. So I just wanted to know if there was going to be space for that.
I know we're 100% committed to that.
Oh,
Okay.
100%.
I think that's the strength of this initiative, being able to bring people together.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Naija McKinstry. First, thank you for this opportunity and this listening tour. Love the name too. I first want to just say I would love to see this money, whether it's through my nonprofit or others, put towards supporting sensory and social enrichment support in children with special needs. There are a lot of places for therapy. There are a lot of places for like gyms, but there are really minimal spaces. I'm from Queens, but I'm now here in Brooklyn. There are minimal spaces that are for enriching those children beyond just, okay, go for your therapy services. Like there are very few places. So hopefully there are organizations you come across the state. Hopefully it'll be mine too. But even if not, I would love to see the money going toward that. It's really dear to my heart. And there's such a need. So many children are not receiving the services within the schools that I serve. My brother, he's a teenager now. He's also not. And I see that they could really benefit. So yes, just wanted to say that. My question, just I wanted to clarify. So the funding, is it strictly for established nonprofits only? And then I guess the second question, because it might benefit someone else, is just how do we keep track of the application availability and the requirements and updates that you said you'll establish over time?
Okay. The first way we're going to keep track is because you RSVP'd and you showed up. So now we have you twice. And so everybody that's on the list will get the common application when it comes out. And by that time, we'll have more criteria that you will look at and know what information to share to make your application competitive. Yep.
It's strictly for established nonprofits, or will the funding also support those that are starting up or in their earliest stages?
For this particular pot, we are looking at established nonprofits.
Okay.
But know that every assembly member works with a non-for-profit in their community that helps new nonprofits. So please just reach out to your assembly person and they'll be more than happy to just share that information with you. I can look in this audience right now and point out the ones in Brooklyn that have helped incubate so many other smaller non-for-profits. So it's a model that we perfected, and we just want people to continue to duplicate it across the state. All righty, very good. All right, to the right.
Good evening. Just echoing the appreciation for you all convening all of us here today. Thank you for the listening tour. My name is Darren Johnston. I'm the Chief Program Officer at Brick Arts Media. I have a question, and then I have maybe a request for how the funds could be used. Starting with the question, are applicants asked or required to apply to one of the fiscal conduits, all 5, or more than one? How does that work?
So, depending on what your particular model is, if you offer, health and cultural preservation, and one is focusing on housing, if you cover those things, you can apply for through the through the common application, that's why it's a common application, you'll say, this is what I'm looking for funding for. Now, again, we're dealing with $30 million across the state of New York, from Brookhaven to Buffalo. But I would say, still give us that information, because we're not trying to stop at $30 million. We asked for 50. We got 30 this year. And so it's really helpful for us to know that people are doing important work in community and making an impact. And if not this pot, there's always other pots. I mean, our APPI task force got $30 million. Our Hispanic task force got $30 million. And then we all have our regular discretionary funding. And then there's there's delegation funding. So there are pots available throughout the state. So I would say all the time, apply, become a household word to all of us. Invite us to your events. I mean, basically, this is how we make the connection.
I'm gonna take you up on the inviting to events part.
Okay, very good.
The request, and I run the risk maybe of preaching to the choir. I mean, there are a lot of arts institutions in the building tonight, and I'm not sure if that's a coincidence or not. I would assume that it's not, considering where like funding has been cut and where arts institutions are in need. I also think that it's important to say that the focus of many of our organizations, and you all as well, has been our neglected communities and the role that the arts plays in neglected communities, whether that be the formation of identity, mental health, or an economic engine to support your community, maybe get out of poverty, and give back, is critical. I mean, the arts does that for our neighborhoods in particular on so many different levels. I think the request that I have for the funds, I know many of the arts institutions are experiencing something that also should be of note. Like, many of us are being led by us for the first time in like a really long time in Brooklyn. I'm talking about like the major arts institutions. And we all talk to each other. We convene and we talk about the challenges that we're having. There is a burgeoning consortium of arts institutions called BACK, the Brooklyn Arts and Community Collective, that includes many of us. And some of the conversations we have are around what we would call bridge programs. And so what I mean by this is, when we speak to research institutions like the Center for Urban Research, they'll tell us that Brooklyn has training programs, right? Where folks are being trained in workforce development in the arts. And New York City and Brooklyn is the epicenter where a lot of these, where you can thrive as an artist. But where we need support, where things may be lacking, are bridge programs that connect the workforce development institutions and programs and the artists being trained there to the actual organizations and businesses that employ them. And in addition to that, those bridge programmings having things like case managers, so that folks from our communities that are going through this new pipeline have the support that they need in totality. Many of our arts institutions don't have things like case managers and social workers on staff to prepare folks from our neighborhoods to be placed in the epicenter of one of the epicenters of the arts in the world. So I guess my request is to think about the lack of bridge programs that make that connection from workforce development programs specifically in the arts to the actual institutions and businesses that they can be placed in. That's what we would love to see.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I've also, well said. So we are at 6:11 and we're supposed to start at 7, and we have a lot of people. So as you come and make your points, we want to try to keep everybody down to under 3 minutes if we can. Yes?
Good evening. Thank you so much for inviting us and for fighting for this funding for the community. My name is Iman, and I work for Girls for Gender Equity, which is a Brooklyn-based nonprofit that works intergenerationally through a Black feminist lens to center Black girls and gender-expansive youth. We do this through policy and advocacy, youth-centered program, and narrative shift. I know you already mentioned that there are certain bucket areas, but GGE wants to uplift and ensure, are there funds that are reserved and prioritize BIPOC girls and gender-expansive youth? And is there a cap to funding that each organization can receive?
Well, yes to the first question, because as Therese said, This is about apply, apply, apply. If you are serving New Yorkers and you made an impact and you know that there's a need, we want you to apply, right? So we didn't specify the bucket, but certainly it is something that is, if you look at all of our work, is near and dear to our hearts. We actually we did not specify a cap. Other people have done this funding and they, basically have smaller to larger non-for-profits that they fund. So we have, you can ask for 30 million. That's what I'm saying.
That's kind of so.
However, the reality of it is that you're probably not going to get that on the first round. But again, this is about demonstrating need and seeing how we can fulfill those needs. So, but thank you for that question.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. And I'd like to definitely uplift what somebody mentioned before about an opportunity to have these nonprofits convene and meet each other. I think we all appreciate it.
I think we appreciate hearing it. So thank you. And the fact that you showed up in a flash flood, we know that you're serious.
Really?
Alrighty.
Thank you so
Nice to
much.
meet you. You're welcome.
So much.
Yes.
Really. And thank you for highlighting the fact that programming serving girls is not proportionate. And the fact that support of organizations that are created and run by African Americans aren't funded at the level that we want them to. And that's why this initiative is put together. So thank you so much for highlighting those two things. Hello,
Well,
friends.
we have been joined by the third of our 5 non-for-profit fiscal conduits. So I'm just gonna take a pause right now and ask you, did they mic you up yet or do you need the mic?
You need the mic.
Okay. All right.
Good evening, everyone. Please accept my apologies for not getting here before now. I'm actually doing double duty tonight. I am Jennifer Jones Austin, and I have the privilege and honor, I'm looking at one of the people who's made this the privilege and honor of serving both here in this capacity, but also on the New York State Community Commission for Reparations Remedies. And we were doing a little bit of double duty. We had an event over at the Cadman Plaza Library, and that actually was rained out, but we did we had to do a little bit of kind of business, and so that's why I'm late. So please forgive me. I serve as the CEO of the Federation of Prosperity and Welfare Agencies, social policy and advocacy organization here in New York City. Interestingly, founded better than 100 years ago, at a time when services were being doled out based on race and religion, and if you were Black, you got the short end of the stick. So it was intended to be an organization that was here to lift up and support and advocate for underserved communities and specifically Black-led organizations. Today, we work with we work with better than 170 member agencies, but we work across the state with community-based organizations centering on civic engagement, policy and advocacy, and capacity building.
Our left. No, right? We're going to our right.
Thank you.
Jennifer.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Miriam Durand, and I'm a registered nurse, and I'm also the Vice President of Haitian American Nurses Association Incorporated of Greater New York, because I say that because there's also one from Hudson Valley. So we are celebrating our 15th year anniversary this November 7th.
Congratulations.
And we're going to have a great gala at Leonard's, so you are invited. Okay. So basically, what we do is we raise funds through fundraising events to support nursing education here in New York and also in Haiti. Okay, so we've been here 15 years, like I said, with no ever government funding or any type of support. Okay, so I was invited here yesterday, so I'm not registered and I don't have the website. I don't know how to get in touch with you. So what we're currently working on right now is to find grants and space to do a clinic, a mobile clinic for the underserved, especially now with a lot of immigrants who are in hiding, especially women, men. They're not going to the doctor because they're afraid. So what we would working on is to get funding and space so we can do a clinic, maybe have mammogram done, do diabetes teaching, okay, and also teach on high blood pressure management. And hopefully the goal is to change people's behaviors. Okay, so do you guys have any space for healthcare support like this one?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That you were speaking and I was like, oh, yes. I had this dream the other day that we did an event called Mammograms and Mimosas. We are not going to do that, but I was trying to figure out how to get people to come. I'm like, oh, yes. But in all honesty and in all seriousness, thank you for what you said. And absolutely, that is exactly what we want to do. That is, I can't speak for my other conduits, but for United Way, that's exactly what we would like to see the funding going towards, is being able to bring a sense of comfort as well to the individuals who are using that mobile clinic. We want it to be able to be in a safe space, literally, but also metaphysically, and then also be able to provide that service, because what we'd like to do is show the need long term so that this funding could be consistent and constant. So yes, your ideas, the needs are so heard. So thank you. Well,
You signed up today and you signed in today. And okay,
Please.
you got here today. We have you somewhere, but before you leave,
Please
you're
let
gonna
me.
catch one of my staff members and we'll have your information and make sure that you are sent the application when they are ready. And we thank you so much for coming and raising that important issue. Absolutely. All righty, on the right, on the left.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
To the day's guest. My name is Lena Scarborough Gates. I am the principal of Public School 5 right here in our district, and also the executive director of the Adelaide Sanford Institute. I'm standing here today with a passion for our young people, for our children. As a principal, I have been able to create an environment where our students have access to all types of career opportunities, restaurants, STEM labs, aviation centers, you name it, gardening. They have bookstores, they have everything located in that building. And the goal was to make sure that the children have access to whatever careers they may be interested in. As the principal, I am only able to provide those types of activities for children that attend PS5. One of the things that we were looking at also is children's academic achievement. Even though we want our children to make choices about what they want to be when they grow up, making sure our children can read and write and do math is extremely important. So because of the programs that we built and because of the support that we've given teachers and staff members, this children's math scores last year went up 40%. And these are children right here in our district. So as the executive director, and I am honored to be newly voted in as the director, it gives me an opportunity now to reach, to expand the reach. As with the Adelaide Sanford Institute, I would like to see that institute become a hub. So all of the things that we've learned, for example, we have 9-year-olds in the air flying planes now. We have created, or we are creating, a pipeline so that our middle schoolers and our high schoolers and our university students are also able to participate in this program. The Adelaide Sanford Institute would give us this hub so that if we have educators, administrators, families, children, anybody that needs the support, that all of the experts that are now a part of the Adelaide Sanford Institute will be able to support our community. So the Adelaide Sanford Institute should be the education hub. My question is, as this education hub, can we And can we apply to several of the fiscal conduits? For example, if there's a fiscal conduit that deals with families, are we able to apply for funding
Yes.
on that end?
And
And then are we able
And
to
yes.
apply? And yes, and yes?
Yes, yes.
Thank
Yes?
you, thank you.
Well, thank you so much for sharing.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much for sharing that.
Congratulations.
Yes, absolutely. On your new role. Yes, come forward. And somebody has a timer here, so actually use it and let the sound go off because I can't keep time. But you're gonna do that, Mo? Thank you very much. Yes.
A pleasant good evening, everybody. I'm Tafari Thomas. My background, I am a healthcare provider. I wanted to add that she said there are 9-year-olds flying planes. That was my whole point of coming up here. I am a part of Youth Khaki, and we would like to see the monies, like some of these monies, be allocated to the youth for AI, advanced AI. These children need to be in robotics. It's the way of the world, right? We have these children, we could make better use of some of their time, right? Get them advanced AI, get them into robotics, get them flying planes, get them into entrepreneurship like that. So that's what, we're hearing a lot, this culture, this and that, but we are now, this is our time. The future is AI and the future are the children. So therefore, I would love to see that. And I think that would also help a lot of autistic kids. They're not socially adapt, right? However, they are geniuses, right? They are absolute geniuses. They could build you $1 million app. Put these children in AI classes, AI, something advanced, get them into robotics, right? That's what I do believe that some of the funding should go towards. Thank you.
Righty. Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Good evening. This must be the youth segment. So I'm going to echo what everybody has been saying in regards to youth. My name is Eric Waterman. I'm the executive director and co-founder of East Flatbush Village, Inc., youth and community development organization with the intent focus of gang gun violence prevention. Most people hear that long title and think of just the youth piece or the gun violence prevention. Gun violence does not look like any of those things. It looks like what is lacking of those things in our communities. And so we have such things like after school programs, pushing class programs during the school year. We have a summer camp right now, a STEAM summer camp program where kids are doing robotics right now, right? With about 89 kids that are doing that, whether they were geniuses or just trying to gauge and understand the field or the atmosphere around STEM and tech. One of the challenges and where I think money should go towards this, or maybe not that money should go towards this, but maybe the influence of the power of the money and the collective of the group, thank you to all the electeds that put forth this energy and this time and the funding towards this, is to make it easier for organizations to utilize, as you mentioned a little earlier, Assembly Member, the spaces in our city. We're not in rural and or out in Long Island where a lot of spaces are either privatized or what have you. We actually have everything in city here. And a lot of the money what we spend on permits as organizations, the budgets that we get. So we put in funding, we put in an application, and it goes to the DOE and it goes into their pocket for us to pay for space for those same youth to be in. I think that's actually unfair and challenging for groups because it's hard to budget around that where we could pour more into programming in regards to that. So I just wanted to put that out there from the standpoint of the listening tour. I think that could be beneficial to everybody in all categories.
That's a great gem. And our principals and teachers and families are always looking for programming, and they're right around the corner. Absolutely. Hello, how are you today?
Hi, good evening to our elected officials and those in the room. My name is Anne-Marie Foster. I am the president and CEO of Phoenix House. And I wanted to encourage this group to really look at, and I'm not representing culturally appropriate cultural programs, but healthcare, right? Addiction and mental health. And it's something that we don't talk about enough. Sometimes it's the dirty word and stigma, and we hide in shame as it relates to it. But everyone is touched by this. I'm yet to meet someone who doesn't know someone who struggled with the issue of addiction and mental health. And so I want to say that the Recovery Center, which is located right here in Bed-Stuy in Restoration Plaza, is the only one in the borough of Brooklyn. We need more recovery centers across the city and the state. It is the lowest threshold of access to services to help individuals. And we know what's coming down the pike with this one big They call it beautiful. We say ugly. When people losing Medicaid benefits, losing SNAP. If we think we had a problem with mental health and addiction before, get ready. And so we're not ready because we don't have the resources. Something as simple as even having a van to allow the people who are located here in Bed-Stuy to respond to a crisis in East New York, to respond to something in Sunset Park. The fact that we only have one recovery center here, we need more access to services. We also need to educate our population, to educate us, because there are people who look like me who believe that the issue of fentanyl doesn't affect us. And why do I need Narcan? I have a Narcan vending machine that the state legislator has invested in, and we can't place it because we have struggles with being able to place it. And so we need to educate. We have a public service awareness right now done by Robert De Niro. He lost his grandson to an overdose. We can't put it out there because we don't have the resources to do that. So I would love to see this money used to educate and educate us, because we need the education. We need to know how to use Narcan. We need to know how to use fentanyl test strips. We need to know how to save our loved one that's in our home that's struggling with addiction. And then we also need to make this recovery center, that is a fabulous recovery center, you can go and visit it anytime, but make them mobile so that they can go around the borough of Brooklyn.
Anne-Marie, that was fabulous. Please stay and talk to me afterwards. We are working on something right now, and I think that we definitely want to talk to you about this. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you, Mo. She was like, ding, 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 ding. Yes, sir. Clock is ticking.
Yes, grace and peace, everyone. My name is Howard Williams. I serve as Regional Director for Children of Promise NYC. I come bearing greetings on behalf of my beautiful CEO, Mrs. Sharon Content. We are a service, we are an organization that's catered towards servicing children who are directly impacted by mass incarceration. So when we think about the funding, just piggybacking off of the sister, mental health has to be the focus. When we think about what plagues our community, at many times it's not even always the resource, right? But the inability to apply the resources in a proper manner. And at many times that stems from what happens in trauma and the lack of support and resources via that trauma support. We service children who are ages 5 all the way up to 18. We have a location right around the corner on McDonough, and we have another location in the South Bronx located on Webster Avenue. So this mission, which has been the mission for the past 16 years, is to shift the narrative for our Black and brown youth. And our goal is to not stop here in New York, right? We want to spread it because we need more after-school programs. That's what we provide. Summer programs. That's why I look a little soaked, because we got caught in the rain coming back from our trip today, right? The idea is to make sure that we're able to provide what our families, our children need. We, in particular, offer mental health support on site at both locations. So it's not just one-on-one therapy with the children, but it's also family and group therapy as well. So if funding goes in that direction, we know hands-on, firsthand, that it can make an expedient shift in positivity for our culture. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, yes, yes. Coming to the mic.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you guys for giving us a platform to share. I am Aaliyah Dua. I'm 22 years old. I'm running a program called Financial Revolution. I'm from Bed-Stuy. I teach people about financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and political literacy. I think the biggest issue to me that has been brought up to me, and I see even in my life, is that 40% of young people growing up in New York City still live with their parents because of a lack of home affordability. And I like to always say that I don't think the problem is the affordability, but also we're not put in systems where we could be able to afford to live in New York City, right? If you think about access to jobs, right, we're not even learning things that could give us access to be able to compete with other people. And that's already setting us behind the pole, you know? So I think if you guys could shift putting money towards, you know, systems that can help us learn how to get skill sets that can help us compete in this world, I think we could be able to afford to live in New York City. A lot of my peers who do have their own apartments and stuff like that, they had to go to another state in order to afford that and leave their families. And I believe that's not fair. So just thinking about that is important. I think a lot of programs that we see in our communities, and this is me just being honest, are repetitive, you know, and they're not really shifting anything. I think a lot of old programs, because somebody had asked the question, are you guys going to allow new programs to get access to funding? And you guys said right now y'all are focusing on older programs.
Yes, but not this pot.
For this pot.
The next
but
pot.
what I'm noticing is a lot of the programs that are historic, they're detached from the people that they're supposed to be helping, right? So it's like, how can you help someone, but you so far gone, you know? So it's like, that's what I'm starting to see, and that's why I think nothing's really changing in our community. You know, money without money going to the right places doesn't really solve the issue. So, yeah.
Anybody else want to add that? Give it up for the 2025 56th Assembly District Woman of Promise.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Raquel Peters. I'm the Chief Development Officer at the Campaign Against Hunger. First, I want to thank all of the New York State Black Legislative Task Force members who all support our very vital work in New York City. I may have missed this before coming in a bit late, but I wanted to know initially when I reviewed the parameters of the funding, emergency food was not included. And like I said, I may have missed this. We know a lot has happened to the emergency food sector. A hungry city is not a safe city. People can't be functional when they cannot access food if they're food insecure. And so I'd like to know, have considerations been made to shore up as part of this funding, the emergency network, and also not just to shore up where there are large gaps, but to also consider social enterprise models that emergency providers have, like the Campaign Against Hunger, because what we don't want to do is to be at the whim and fancy of whoever goes into the White House. Now, we've seen what has happened this year. TICA in particular, the campaign got federal funding over $1 million, which was yanked from under us, monies that we already spent. And so what I'd like to know is, are considerations or will considerations be made, right, so that we have safe landing if things like this happen in the future?
Yeah, thank you so much. And I just have to say, I'm working hard on trying to get answers on the cause of the emergency food and shelter program. So I wanted to say thank you for being that up and to let you know that United Way is very strongly working on that, including your United Way of New York City's leader, Grace Bonilla. A. B. Yes, I consider food inequity, food insecurity, and nutrition as part of health. Case in point, we can't be healthy if we can't eat. So 100%, that's how I consider it. I don't mean to speak for my other conduits, but I do believe that we have agreed that it falls under health. But that doesn't mean.
Let me just add, I think it's more than health.
Yeah, it goes into all of
Food
that.
is part of economic security.
Yes.
And food, without food, you cannot, thrive, you cannot contribute, you cannot grow educationally. So food is fundamental, and it's health and.
Yeah, it's part of all of them. Workforce, community needs.
As the next person is coming up to the mic, I'm going to make a clarification. So I spoke earlier about the fact that we are working to make sure that there is $250,000 that is provided to each of our conduits to get the ball running. And that pot of money will be available for new not-for-profits as well. So I just got that hot off the presses. So that clarification is there. But please also know your assembly people can help you if you're a new not-for-profit as well. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Donna Hilton, and I am the CEO and founder of A Little Piece of Light. We're a little small organization based in Brooklyn, but we do a lot of work. My concern right now, I look like I went to play tennis, but I actually has been in emergency mode from the beginning of the week because we had to shut down our housing initiative, which has young girls and women inside. And right now we have one young girl in our car outside. And so we're on an emergency basis. And we're not just talking about hunger, we have to talk about homelessness. And we have to talk about homelessness for young girls and women because there are not enough support mechanisms in place. Has not been, I know myself, I've walked it and I'm continuing to walk it. And so we don't know what to do. We honestly just don't know what to do. And so instead of having the women in the streets, the young girls in the streets, we've been trying to find shelters to put them in, which is, they've already been impacted by trauma. And so this whole entire situation is traumatic and it's no one's fault here, but it is a dire situation. And so my question is there anything in place that can happen in the immediate to address homelessness as well as hunger? Because we know if they're homeless, they're going to be hungry, right? And vice versa. Let's be clear about that. And also with the process, as an organization, we had tried the process before with our assembly member, and we actually won. We were granted something, but we have yet to get it. Why? Because the process in itself, let's be very clear, the process in itself is just painful isn't even right. It's not even a word. It makes absolutely no sense. It's not a dissertation. It's a need. No one has to write. I mean, I have a doctorate, but that doesn't mean that I understand what I need to respond to. It makes no sense. So is there a way that we could make sure that it's not a hurdle and an impossibility for people that are boots on the ground doing this work? I have women in the streets right now. We should never have come to this. Never.
Well, I'm going to ask if you could just address the second part of the question, because I'm going to tell you frankly, the first question, which is a municipal issue, and I am not, trying to push the blame anywhere. What I'm saying is that this is the pivotal issue of our time. And we need to be in community having this conversation and changing what is happening right now with all of our voices, boots on the ground, as you said, full-throated. There is no one who lives on planet Earth who is human that should be homeless. And if we don't continue to affirm that and move that agenda, we're going to continue to see people on the streets. And so I'm going to say that about that. And then we're just going to go to your second point of the issue of getting honey out of this frozen faucet that we call the state.
Is the money that is being held up, is it at the city level or at the state level?
No, state. We were awarded it, our assembly person, Farah, and her. We were able to get it. But when doing the process, you have to show this, you have to prove this, you have to do this, you have to do that. Like bomba clock. Really?
No, you can say it.
Jamaican, y'all, I'm sorry. But
yes.
It just really makes no sense. And I can imagine people that have not been as established as we're still young in this game, right? The hurdles that you have to go through, it makes no sense. Like, people need the money to do the work.
Yes, they do.
And that's the only thing that should be verified, or, you know what I mean? Just if you're doing the work, you're doing the work.
You are doing the work. A couple of things I will say about that, and then we'll go to the next thing. I've got 3 bills out. One of the things I would like to do is truncate the process that we used. We could go back to the days when, if you were to establish not-for-profit and we see the impact that once we get you the grant, we just give you 50% of your money up front so that you can literally hire your staff, make your planning, doing what you need to do. But that is something we have to fight together, because those bills are still sitting in committee. Come on, let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, Elias Rodriguez with the Prospect Park Alliance, but also here just as a general Brooklynite. And I just wanted to advocate for some of the funding to go to our parks. Obviously, I'm here representing Prospect Park, but I know there's several other smaller groups that take care of the parks here in Brooklyn that are really struggling. Green space is very limited here in Brooklyn, so whenever we can take care of it, we should be doing it. I know that we at the Alliance, we really see it as a resource that could be doing way more for the city. We have the privilege that our park is not really a touristy park. It really serves Brooklyn and Brooklynites. I just want to share a quick fact. Hypertension affects 1/3 of people in Crown Heights and East Flashbrook. Yet, crossing the park in Park Slope, that number is cut in half. Your zip code shouldn't determine how healthy you are, yet in Brooklyn, it is determining just that. I heard from previous people and also one of the panelists that having access immediately to you to health is a key component in being proactive and taking care of people. We are trying to do just that. This Saturday, we're actually holding a health fair in partnership with Public Health Solutions, where we will be providing on-site medical care for Medicaid members and other resources for the community. So everyone here is invited. Please join us and spread the word. but that's obviously work that takes resources. It takes people. I mean, my team, we are just 3 people that we have been trying to wrangle around 10 different nonprofits to bring these services to the park. So I just wanted to, voice that we should really be funding also the other aspects of our neighborhoods that sometimes are overseen, because most people go to the park and they don't realize that there's orgs like us that are taking care of it and trying to bring programming that is inclusive and being proactive in servicing the community. So I thank you all for inviting us and for giving us the opportunity to just voice that need. Thank you.
Thank you. That's important information. And we can certainly fund the programming in the park, but we just can't do capital grants out of this particular pot. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for having me. My name's Kelly, and I'm the founder of Universal Hands Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization focused on revitalizing Black-owned and operated financial hubs across the United States. I also serve on the CEC district for District 16, Community Education Council for District 16. And one thing I found being in community service and listening to these nonprofits talk is that the families are not retaining the information. A lot of the nonprofits are exhausted with the work because the families are not retaining the information. So they may be providing the financial services or campaign against her because I live close to her, that she is constantly providing the food. But and I'm here to reiterate again, mental illness, because a lot of our issues stem from mental illness. Everything that we're going through right now is from mental illness that we're suffering, and we're disguising it under just our daily functioning. And so I'm just here to reiterate more funding in mental health, because a lot of the parents are getting the information that they're asked for. They're getting the food, they're getting the backpacks, they're getting the job, but they're not retaining the information or holding the information. And we've been exhausted, like she said. It seems as though a lot of these programs are over and over and over, and we're continuing to do the same work year after year after year because there's been no progress. Also, I would like to make sure in some way that the funding is overlooking nonprofits and making sure that they're doing what they say that they're doing, that they're not just receiving funding, that they also have proof that they've made a change, that they have stats and numbers that can prove that they've made a difference in the community after all of the funding that they've received. Thank you.
I'll quickly add, just in response to that last point, that we will be making sure that there's accountability, not just for the nonprofits on the ground, but also for the fiscal conduits. And the other thing that I want people to make sure that you're aware of is that the money will go for capacity building that is inclusive of civic engagement. As I listen to a lot of the points that are being made, all great points, one of the things that I keep hearing is, what is the work that we're doing as community, and how can they be supported to do more to advocate for the systems, the structures, the policy changes, and the funding that flows therefrom that benefits our communities in the way that we need to be supported. And so there will be money that will be granted for civic engagement as well.
Hi, and I'm Reverend Ebony Jackson with Brooklyn Rescue Mission Urban Harvest Center. And I wanted to say about our work that we do food justice, urban farming. We were one of the first urban farms to grow food for emergency food because of the basic human right of food. And I like to call it rule-free food. Food without funding restrictions. We should be able to grow and learn how to feed ourselves and feed our community and help our community to learn how to feed themselves. Hunger is just way out of control. And within our program, what I've noticed is that we have so many people that are coming to us because of the civility that we present in our program. Emergency food is for the person that actually comes to pick up, it's so out of control for so many of these people. They don't want to go, but they're hungry. They don't want the fighting. They don't want the arguing. And they come to us because we have put so much effort into making it a safe space. We've made appointments. We've shuffled days. We've done this without staff. We've done this with volunteers. We have had problems navigating the whole government funding process, so that has limited our growth. And yet, for 20 years, digging and growing food ourselves and unloading trucks ourselves, we still have people, after taking our first vacation in maybe like 10 years, when are you going to reopen? And please don't take away my appointment. And I need my day, and you need more days open, and you need more hours open. And we're like, how can we grow and capacity build if we have such a hard time navigating and making space, because you need bigger spaces to accommodate the people, but you need more staff to accommodate the people. And I want to say, it may sound weird, but food is also sort of abundant. But the background behind the food, the support needed to distribute the food and to do it in a way that the community wants to receive it and the way they want to be treated. They want the meat, they want the food, they want the fresh grown food, they want the access, they want all of these things. Nobody wants to be cattle called. So I just would like to bring a few of those things to light to say, help some of the smaller programs that just need, because we connect with the people because they're stalking us.
Yes. Yes.
Thank
you.
The need is there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Yes, ma'am. Happy belated birthday.
Why, thank you. My name is Oma Holloway. I'm the founder and chief strategist for Dina Consulting Group. I work with many different organizations in primarily central Brooklyn. I did come a little late, so I apologize, but I think this is a great opportunity to have this conversation. But as we were talking in the back, just need some clarity. This is $30 million for the state or for the city specifically?
Statewide.
For the state. So with that in mind, because just in this room, there's probably about 30, well, let's just say in this room, there's probably 40, and I'm being very conservative, organizations here.
I get it.
So and before, people start trying to find my telephone number and write it on the wall, I just need some clarity on how this is going to be rolled out in terms of when the application comes out, how to make who will be the most likely to be the organization that could receive some of this funding, and will there be technical assistance provided on how to apply, and what will be the real criteria, and what will be the max? Because with a state with $30 million, is there going to be a cap, or so those logistics, I don't know if they're all totally worked out yet, but it is something that it concerns, because everyone being ambitious and aspirational, I think some of those details we would like to know.
Okay. Well, we thank you for the question. We did actually talk about this before, and I will let my colleagues here reiterate those things. But I will say this: everybody in this room who's a not-for-profit knows that there's never a grant that's going to fully fund your organization, right? Everybody has to have a multitude of funding streams in order for you to do what you do best. This was our effort to concentrate dollars to help with capacity building and some really high-level issues that we're experiencing here in the state. And then I'll just turn it over to you all to just talk a little bit again about what the process is going to be moving forward.
I can begin by sharing that So the legislation has passed. The money has been allocated. The money will not begin to flow, as I understand it, until probably the beginning of next year. But that is to allow for time to build out the process that is reflective of the voice of the community across the state of New York, that looks at what are the critical issues, and I'll just add some of the foundational issues. The aim here, the intent is to build this initiative in such a way that we evidence the work being done, the value of it, and it continues to grow and to build. And so to that end, we've got to be very thoughtful about, as people were alluding to earlier, just kind of running and just putting money out there. We've got to have a structure, a system, and a process. And what we want to do is make sure that we are including as many people and institutions as we possibly can. We cannot guarantee that in this first year that every institution is going to get, a significant sum of money that is going to change your organization's circumstances for the long term. What we can commit to is that we're going to build a process that ensures that we are seeking to build infrastructure, capacity, be responsive to the needs in the moment as best we can. But it's a kind of a twofold. You all are talking about how do you build the infrastructure that allows institutions to thrive, not just in a reactive of the moment mode, but thrive over time. So we've got to build that, the capacity for it. And a good part of that is the civic engagement work to make sure that we're advocating for the resources, not just the 30 million, but the resources our community needs. So that may have sounded long-winded, may have sounded like a whole, but what does that mean? When is the money coming? Or what is the actual application process? We are literally in the process of building it right now. Now, one might have said, well, why not build it before you come out? But what is so integral, so instrumental, so critical to making sure we get the process right is that we actually hear from you.
Hence our listening tour. Yes, sir.
Hi, Assemblywoman Zimmerman. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate.
Just
Oh, no.
point I just want to add. Keep in mind that it is $30 million for underserved communities, that a lot of our centering has been and is focusing on underserved and the African people of African descent, but there's also $30 million that has been allocated for institutions that are serving people of Hispanic origin. And there's another $30 million that is allocated to Asian American Pacific Islander representative institutions. So the total pot is $90 million.
Again, Assemblywoman Zimmerman, thank you for inviting me. And I'm David Jones of the New York City Computer Lab Initiative. We're in the process of opening a computer lab in every underprivileged and underserved community in New York City. We're opening our 13th lab in Stapleton houses in a month, in 30 days. And I wanted to thank Assemblywoman Walker. Did she leave? She went to the bathroom. I want to publicly thank her because we've opened 2 labs in Brownsville, and she was at one of the ribbon cutting ceremonies where she had something that was definitely pressing to do, and she stayed anyway. And I wanted to thank her publicly for that. So we're not having a problem with capital funding. We are having a problem with programming. And for me, opening a lab without money for programming, it's just a photo op. And that's not what we came for. We don't want to do that. So I'm glad that you're doing this. One question being, are the funds kind of broken up by, since you're dealing with assembly members, or is there like an amount set for districts, or it's kind of like across the board is how you're doling out the funds?
It is across the board.
Okay.
We are looking for those institutions that are going to have the greatest impact and
Okay.
are ready to do this work.
Okay.
And they will be making the final decision about who gets that funding. And that's why they're working now, listening to you to put together not only the common application, but the process.
Okay. And really quickly, Eric he said something about actual spaces. We have 13 spaces all of them, most of them in night shift facilities. Question, is there anyone in here that does STEM programming at all? Anybody? Okay, great. Because we're not getting as much funding as we need for programming, you guys have programming. And so we're willing to share our spaces where you can come in and use those spaces.
There we go.
Yeah, I don't have to do everything myself. It's bigger than one person. So now how do I get to all these people?
You're all on a list now, and this is not going to be our first mixer. In order for this to be successful, and part of the reason why we wanted to get you in the room, is so people would meet each other, network afterwards, exchange information, find synergy, develop those working relationships.
Okay, DS Jones at iCody.org. DSJ, this is D as in David, S as in Solomon, J as in Jones, DSJ at IKHODI.org. So DSJ at iCody.org. So that's IKHODI.org. We have 2 labs in Brownsville.
Just ask me.
Yeah.
For the information afterwards. Very
exactly.
good. Yes.
We have 2 labs in Brownsville. That's Van Dyke and Langston Hughes. We're opening up in Stapleton's houses. We have 1 in Veer. We have 1 in Queensbridge. It's a lot. So
And the pro experience in Brooklyn. So we're going to continue. All right. Very good.
Thank you.
David Jones. Yes, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. Thanks for inviting us.
Yes.
My name is Jeffrey Noble. I am the CEO of the Noble Touch, a holistic healing center right here on 1110 Fulton Street. My main question is, well, first of all, I'll say we do a lot of programming in the community. We have programs using holistic health for seniors, holistic health for children, and holistic health for the general public. And we have lots of programs that are absolutely free in the community right there on 1110 Fulton and online for seniors. What I want to ask is, any of these funds going to be used for holistic health companies? I know they have arts organizations, but I've never seen any funding given out for a holistic health organization.
Health, health, health. Yes, yes, yes. Please apply.
I will apply.
Okay.
And I want to invite you all to a fundraiser we're having with at Weeksville Heritage Center.
Okay.
Awesome.
With Susan Taylor is our special guest.
Okay.
And our chairperson.
All righty.
All right.
Thank you so much for the invitation. To the left, to the left, to the left.
Yeah, everybody's invited.
All righty. We are at 6:59. Come on, you got 1 minute.
1 minute.
1 minute.
Hi, my name is Tonya Lewis Taylor. I am the co-founder and executive director of the I Will Graduate program. And thank you. And we are very passionate about helping our young people become strong and healthy and getting them to the finish line, not only in high school and college, and then have them return to their communities to build strong communities. And one of the big issues that we're facing now is a mental health crisis. I came in a little late and I heard somebody speak about that. And I just wanted to ask this question: is there going to be emphasis put on mental health? Right now, we're seeing many of our young people dealing with addiction. They're dealing with the legalization of cannabis and all of the cannabis shops that have popped up. And we're seeing a lot of our young people deal with income insecurity. And how do we get them to be strong if we don't have resources in place for them to not only be strong in school, but for mental health, to make sure that they're being taken care of with their mental health and also economically?
So I'm going to answer a little bit of this, and then we're just going to close out by asking our fiscal conduits just to give us some parting words. But if you look at the state budget, we have mental health in just about every part of the budget. In schools, in community institutions, in hospitals. And so we are definitely prioritizing mental health. There's so many of you in this room that are prioritizing this. We're just going to keep reiterating, trust this process. Please apply, please apply, please apply. Want to start?
Oh, I got to start? Uh-oh.
Yeah. Sure, I can
Sir,
start.
I know you standing at that mic, that One more. All right. See, look, they're advocating for you.
All right,
Okay.
thank you very much. Very, very grateful. My name is Curtis Nelson. I'm the executive director of Sesame Flyers. We are celebrating 42 years of existence in the community, and we are very appreciative of this opportunity for all nonprofits in New York. But certainly, one of the things that we've experienced that I really want to share is that as a nonprofit, we have mentored a lot of other nonprofits, and what we realize in capacity is that financing and understanding how money moves through our community is something that's very lacking. So in the capacity building, we need to find ways to make sure that nonprofits learn how to do what you do as conduits, because you know how to move money, right? And that's part of the challenge that we have, because when there's funding, when you have to put up the money up front, you have to find financing. And because sometimes we just really don't have the funds to do all the things that we want to do. So part of I want to make sure is stress is that making sure that there is financing literacy for nonprofits to understand how money moves through the system, especially when we are so reliant on government funding that the private and the individual who fund us don't know that we need money to get that money to move. All right? Thank you.
Alrighty. Thank you so very much. Thank each and every one of you. And please know that or at least me, I'll be here to answer some questions afterwards as well. But Therese, you want to just kind of wrap us up and we'll take it on down the line.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. First of all, I wanted to say thank you. I know it takes a lot to come up here. I know it took a lot to get here and to get up to the mic and tell your story and where you're from. So thank you. And I can't emphasize this enough. Please apply, apply, apply. We can't wait to hear your stories, and we're so grateful for all that you're doing. I just want to close out and say thank you so much, Assembly Member, and all of your staff and all of the Legislative Task Force for tonight. I am terrified to drive home tonight to Albany, so I'm going to scoot out, but I'll give you my email. It's dalyt@uwnys.org. And please contact me. I cannot wait to hear from you. And this is all pending I survive my drive.
You will survive your drive, and guess what? You can stay in Brooklyn tonight if you want to. This is for you. You don't have to worry about that. Yes, Ms. Oliver.
Absolutely. I want to thank you all for sharing your issues, whether they were mental health or whether it was dealing with women and girls, working with homelessness, food insecurity, and then sharing the issues. And the issues are around nonprofits trying to negotiate, getting in reports, trying to lay out the money first and getting the money back later, all the capacity issues as well. So thank you so much for sharing the conversation. And it was very rich, and I appreciate it.
And I'll close this out as the Brooklyn girl. I am a Brooklyn girl, and I am so proud of how we showed up tonight. I want to thank all of you for that. I am literally kind of spent my childhood in all of my years. I am a daughter of a preacher who pastored the Bethany Baptist Church on Corpus Garvey, and Dr. William Augustus Jones Jr., who also had a role in helping to erect this institution. And so I'm honored to serve. I put that out there to let you know that this is the beginning for us, and we want to do our very best to get it right and have it be the beginning of more and more and more. We can only do that. We lean in and we listen to you. And so I thank you all for coming out tonight.
Thank you.
Well, on behalf of the New York State Black Legislative Task Force, I too want to thank you all for being here, coming to this listening tour. First and foremost, please affirm that you felt listened today. Were you listened to today? Because that was definitely our goal for having this and beginning this statewide tour. Thank you, Brooklyn, for coming out to stop number 2. We talked about this before. This tour is so significant because it gives each and every one of you the opportunity to talk to us, and we are pledging to continue these conversations because they're so important. We want to make sure that, again, just as Jennifer said, that your voices are guiding this process because it's your lived experience that we count on in order to serve all New Yorkers. We want to just applaud. I know it sounds like a lot, until you get in a room with 40 other organizations, but $30 million still is a significant amount of money. And we are really going to be judicious about how we go about making sure that we fund to make the greatest impact. Yes, this round, everybody is not going to get money. We cannot guarantee that, but we certainly are going to make sure that you are connected to other resources that are available in the city and the state on the federal level, even as we deal with what's coming out of Washington. This money is there again to directly to support each and every one of you. And I really want to thank each and every one of the fiscal conduits for stepping up to do this work. This is courageous. You all know how you can be when you did not get what you thought you should have gotten in a timely manner, because a lot of times that money was owed you for a very long time. So the fact that these organizations have stood up in the gap to say that we understand this process and we're going to help administer this money, I can't say enough for each and every one of you, and I want to thank you. So closing and next steps for us. We're going to be working, with our fiscal conduits, making sure that we have minutes, copious minutes from today's conversation, and from the one that we had in Long Island. Next up is Manhattan, I believe, and then we're going to Queens. So we are making our way around the borough, but just just stay connected. If you have somebody on your staff who's your fiscal person who couldn't make it today and they didn't sign up, make sure that you sign them up. Whoever in your organization needs to be connected to this process, we want to make sure that we have their name. Make sure that if you can't come in person, that the next thing that we do is online. You might think of something that you didn't think about tonight, or you wake up at 3:00 in the morning like me, and you got this hour and you're having all kinds of visions and stuff. We want to make sure that and let you know that you can actually sign on to those other ones as well. It doesn't stop just here in Brooklyn, right? There are people who were from the Bronx who came to Long Island last week. And so please just listen to all of them if you want to continue to ask questions, because that's how this process is going to benefit all of us throughout New York State. So thank you for doing God's work and partnering with each and every one of us. And this is going to be something. At the end of this process, this is going to be something that we can all be proud of, and we're going to see the impact in community. And I can say that because I know who I'm sitting next to right now. I know who I work with in Albany, and I know many of you in this audience. So we're going to make this happen, and our people are going to benefit from it, because that's the goal. Yes? All right. Come on. Let's go do this. Brooklyn. We did it.